What is up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? Grant from One Fair Review, and today I am back with another movie. I decided to review another movie just because why not? Hey, it's the third week into January. Let's get another one out there. Today we are looking at Tonya. For those of you who don't know, Tonya Harding was a real life figure skater, and she was the first American woman to complete a triple axel during a competition. This was back in 1991. Now, I didn't know too much about Tonya Harding. I only knew the very little basics about her life and the real life story about her. So I was kind of curious to watch this movie. Quite honestly, I have no idea what drew me into this movie. To this day, I'm still kind of confused what. But I went to go watch the movie, and yeah, so for those of you who don't know, she was a talented skater from when she was like 10. And her mother forced her to do this for the rest of her life, pretty much making her drop out of school. And then she, of course, keeps competing to be in the Olympic competition, hopefully. And she gets married to one of her high school boyfriend, who was in high school at the time, and then went to college. But she dropped out, so she obviously did not get an education. A bunch of stuff happened. I'm not going to spoil the story because I think that the story is actually pretty good as it is. So I'm not going to spoil it. If you guys want to watch a documentary on it, you can. I think it's on Netflix. You can find Tonya Harding. Or you could just watch the movie. And so, let's just get to straight into the movie. This is going to be a short review. I liked this movie a lot. I thought it was great. Yeah, I thought it was a great movie. The story was a very interesting story. Obviously, it's based on a real life story, so that was already interesting. And given the subject matter, figure skating, I'm not into figure skating necessarily. I think it's interesting, but it's not my thing. So it was just like the story really just drew me in, and the character of Tonya Harding was so interesting. I just wanted to watch it, and the whole time while watching the movie, it was just a treat to see Margot Robbie playing Tonya Harding, by the way. She gives an excellent performance and is just amazing at what she does, and her acting ability is just shines throughout this movie. I think the last time I saw her was Harley Quinn in Suicide Squad, which I did like her there, but here I think she did an excellent job and definitely deserves attention for this role. As for the other actors, Sebastian Stan plays Jeff Gilly. I think that's how you pronounce his name, who was a bastard in real life, a fucking asshole, and he's in this movie, and he also does a great job. Like, everybody in this movie, I'm just going to say this, everybody in this movie does a great job. Everybody does a great job playing the characters that they play, and everybody's, like, talented, and that's no shocker. The movie is played as if it's like a documentary. Like, it starts off with like interviewing the people in real life, but it's like the actors playing the people, and then they're kind of reliving like what happened and telling their own versions of the story of how it happened. So it just kind of goes through her life and sort of till the end of her ice figure skating career, which was, I believe, in 1994 or 1995. I can't remember too clearly. And it just kind of stops there. Like, a bunch of incidents happened. Of course, you have all the controversial elements that she did something to her figure skater Nancy Kerrigan to injure her, break her knee. And to this day, nobody really knows if she was really involved with it. All that they know is that her husband definitely was, or her ex-husband was, and his best friend, who they sort of did it on their own. But again, everybody has their own different version of the story, and is this the real story? I don't know. I mean, I believe that if this was the real story, then good job. And the way they paint Tonya Harding, it's a very like kind of tragic story. Like, you feel bad for her the whole story, and I definitely felt bad for her as well. Cinematography in this movie was great. Music was great. Like, that's really all I can say. A movie about figure skating. Again, figure skating is not my thing, so this really did interest me, and it kept me going the whole way through. I didn't walk out, and I really liked every moment of it. I was emotionally invested. I was on the edge of my seat to find out what would happen next, because, again, this doesn't necessarily follow everything that has been told. This does its own version, and what I mean by that is it takes certain versions of each story and just kind of tries to make the sense out of it, because, again, nobody knows the full story yet. But yeah, just to kind of summarize a little bit more. I think this movie was also kind of hard to watch at times. Definitely, I'm not a fan of abusive relationships. So at times this could be a really hard watch, and especially because Tonya Harding, it's like you kind of feel bad for her in this whole movie, even though she's kind of like a redneck asshole, but it's like you do understand why she is the way she is. So it is sad in that sense, and I do feel for the character. And like I said before, cinematography in this movie is great. Every time they were on the ice figure skating, it looked great. It looked awesome, and they did a great job. Margot Robbie did an excellent job, honestly fitting the role perfectly. There were some humorous moments, but these really weren't like sort of shoved in there for no reason. Like these were very natural, kind of funny moments, just like, hey, yeah, that's what people do in real life, and it's just kind of like, oh, haha, they did this. That's the kind of humor that you find in this movie, and which I'm happy that they didn't overdo it with just like outright comedy. At times they didn't have slapstick or anything stupid. They had like a bit of humorous moments to make it feel more human, and then they just kind of continued. It wasn't the meat of the story. The conflict that happens, of course, is very interesting. Everything is interesting. Everything is interesting in this movie. That's the big takeaway. Everything's interesting, and for a based on a true story movie, which I don't usually like to watch based on true story movies unless they're, say, The Disaster Artist, which I loved, by the way. So yeah, something drew me into I, Tonya, and I don't know what it is. Maybe it was the actors attached to it. I do like Margot Robbie. I do like Sebastian Stan. I do like Elise and Janney. I do like these people. Now, the director of the movie was Craig Gillespie. Again, I'm butchering names, but I'm so sorry. I can't really pronounce it. His other movie was The Finest Hours, which I've never seen. The Finest Hours. I don't think it's a good movie, or from what I heard, it wasn't a good movie. And he also made Fright Night, which I believe was a remake of the original Fright Night. So yeah, I don't really know too much about that one either. Maybe it was good, maybe it wasn't. Now, if I'm sounding very kind of just like, just okay, sort of calm, that's because this movie is a very kind of depressing movie. It's a very sad movie. It's not too fun. It's just kind of like somber. So you really need to be in the mood to watch this type of movie, based on a real life story, and you have to kind of know like it's not really gonna end up well for these people, which in some cases you're sad, and then other places you're kind of glad. So yeah, if I was to give this a rating out of 10, I would give I, Tonya a 9 out of 10. Now, this doesn't mean that this is the best movie I've ever seen. This doesn't mean it's amazing or anything. A 9 out of 10 simply because it did everything well, except for maybe a few things. I could probably nitpick the movie and say, like, hey, this didn't happen in real life, or why did you go this way, or that kind of stuff. Like, I could definitely, like, watching the documentaries prior, or not all the documentaries, I mean a long time ago watching them, I could definitely nitpick this and be like, hey, why did you go this way, and that kind of stuff. And that's why it loses a point for me. This is definitely not a perfect movie, and it's definitely not a movie that's like a fun movie, but definitely it is very enjoyable. You need to be in the mood for it, and I personally really liked it. So this is a 9 out of 10. Solid performances, solid cinematography, solid music. Figure skating was great. Like, everything was good. Everything was very well done. And if that's what you want to see, then you're gonna have a great time watching this. So to anybody else who watched this, let me know what you guys thought. Like, comment, and subscribe. So yeah, next time on One for Review, maybe I'll review another movie. Maybe I won't. We'll see.